he gets me.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey, sorry, it wasn't working for a minute there. I had to adjust. How are you today?
bad.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. So I gotta say, I haven't watched very much of your content. I haven't seen much of what you've done, but everyone that I've talked to seems to tell me not to tune in, right? Not to come by, not to call in. I shouldn't be around you. I shouldn't talk to you. I shouldn't uh, do anything with you or have anything to do with you. And so that's made me very curious to kind of call in and maybe
Do
try to see why.
do what they told you not to do.
Well, that too. There is that, right? A little contrarian in me, right?
Sure.
But I I am curious, right? And I was listening a little to your previous callers, especially the last one. You talked about a lot about who you are and who you wanted to be, and what was important to you and what was not important to you, and things like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, do you think that it's important to you at all, right? How others see you? I know that you talked about how it didn't really matter when it came to if they saw
Well,
you as a shock jock or whatever, but
when you say important, do you mean like emotionally important, or like it factors into decisions about my work? Because those are different. Like yeah, of course I want people to think like, oh, he's a genius artist who's bringing people together and fighting against
hello?
polarization. Hey, can you hear me? Hello? You can't hear me? Yo,
Did my Discord die there? I'm sorry.
can
Something
you hear me?
happened.
I can hear you.
Yes, yes. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. Of course, I want people to think I'm a genius artist who's bringing people together and fighting against polarization and saving the world, saving the country. Like, of course, I want that. But that's making people think that is different from actually trying to do it. Those are different goals.
I
And so,
understand.
yeah, so if I'm at a crossroads where I'm like, am I going to say the thing that I think is actually meaningful and helpful? Or am I going to say the thing that people will say is meaningful or helpful? Whenever those are different, I am always pushing myself to follow my heart.
Interesting. Interesting. So I guess my question for you would be, what do you think is the most, if you were to, as the last caller said, fade away in a year, and people only remember one thing about you, right? They can only like keep one Mr. Girl thought in their head, like, oh, Mr. Girl, I remember him. He X.
The
What
cuties guy.
the cuties guy. Is that
No,
what
I
you want to
don't.
be
No,
remembered
no.
as?
What do you mean by fade away?
So we all have our presence on the internet, and so what I mean by fade away is fade from attention from others, like uh, the zeitgeist, if you will. Does that make sense at all, or should I?
Yeah, sure, but that's like that's like a return to normality for me.
That's fair.
You
But
know?
would it matter? I guess I should ask this then. Would it matter to you at all what people remembered you for when you fade to normality, when you return to normality, if you
Yeah,
prefer that term?
sure. Um, well, if they if they thought about me the way I want them to, then I would keep my audience. So if I lose my audience, it means they're not thinking about me the way I want them to. So it feels like kind of a
A circular thing. Okay. Well, I
it's a
guess
it's a
the
contradictory idea that people are thinking of me the way I want them to and yet don't want to watch my content.
interesting. So I guess that's the thing. How do you want them to think of you? Like as genuine? Is that your reason to tear, as they say? Uh, is this
It's
what you're aiming for? Your goal to be genuine?
it's more complicated than that.
Well, fair enough. Can you try to explain or
My the goal of my content?
yeah, please.
The goal of my content is to challenge people to empathize with people who are very different from them, people who they hate, particularly across party lines, and
Interesting.
to thusly reduce dehumanization and increase empathy for others and ourselves.
Um, yeah, no, I I'm with you there. Like I think that's a great goal. Who do you hate? Uh, you don't have to name a specific person. I'd rather you don't. But what type of person would you say that you have vitriol for, hatred towards,
Right
if
now,
any? I mean, maybe you've transcended that.
not any type. I wouldn't say hate any type. Well, I don't know, maybe women, but
Interesting. Why women?
because they make me very angry. But I wouldn't say I don't think there's really, I don't think I hate any particular type of person right now. I hate the impulse in people to crush me. I'm very angry about that. I hate that, but I wouldn't say I hate the people themselves.
Interesting. Can you understand like why they would try to crush you? Because that's what I'm having trouble with. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know why you are as hated as you are. And you are hated in many circles and venues and things like
Well,
that.
to you
The
tell me
first thing
this.
I
You tell me the circle. I'll tell you why they hate me.
uh Twitch streamers in general don't seem to like you, or at least the ones that I've when I
I,
came back to Twitch, right, the first thing I learned, right, was
yeah.
don't talk to Mr. Girl. And I
Okay.
didn't know you at all, right? So,
So I think first it was they thought I was a pedophile. You know what? Actually, I don't think so. I think my first conversation with Steven was about gender. So I think the first is that I'm transphobic. Um, I that they really latched onto a story where my girlfriend told me she wanted to start a low dose of testosterone to make herself more androgynous, and I talked her out of it.
okay. You just persuaded her. There wasn't any like coercion involved or force or anything. You just said, I don't think you should do that, and she just stopped.
We had been dating for 2 weeks. I'll tell you the story
Oh, please.
if you want to hear it.
I do. I do. That's why I called in.
Okay, so we've been dating for 2 weeks, and I said she texted me and she was like, "Hey, just so you know, I'm thinking of starting a low dose of testosterone." And when we met, her name's Shaylin, but she was going by Shay, and she had really short hair. She would wear like a button-down shirt and a backwards baseball cap, like to dates. Um, like if she wore makeup, it would be like goth makeup, or like green lipstick and like eyeshadow and stuff. Um, but very like she never just looked like a girl.
So very non-traditional.
Yeah,
Then.
and she was
Oh,
non-binary. She
okay.
identified as non-binary. She wanted me to call her my partner, not my girlfriend. And so we'd been dating for like, this is just in 2 weeks, and also she was polyamorous, so she was dating other people. And then after like a week or so, she was like, "I'll just break up with everybody. I'll just date you." So we were dating for like 2 weeks, and she said, "I'm thinking of taking a low dose of testosterone to make myself more androgynous." And I was like, "Well, I don't feel very good about that. I really don't want you to do that." And
Hmm.
she got really angry, and she was like, "Who are you to tell me what to do with my body?" And I was like, "Well, if we're dating, I think when people are in a relationship, you kind of do have ownership over the other person's body to an extent. Like I said, like if I just said I wanted to cut my finger off, you would probably disagree with that decision, right?
Yeah,
I
I get what you're saying. I wouldn't put it in the way you are. I wouldn't use the term ownership. I don't think that's necessarily correct, but I understand what
well,
you're trying to.
it is
Yeah.
correct. It's just uncomfortable. So this is why people don't like me, because it is correct. It is. There's no other word for.
Well, maybe
Uh,
partial ownership because you're not the
that's
only
what I
one with
said.
ownership.
That's what I
Oh,
said.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Misunderstood.
Yeah, but you're now saying exactly what I just said 10 seconds ago, but you're saying it in a way that sounds more apologetic and is more easily digestible. So like
Well,
if you
it
if
helps me. I'm not saying this for anyone else but me because I
I
understand
know
things
that,
in a certain. Okay.
I'm not saying that you're lying or something. I'm just saying that you can see that you could tell the same story as me, but in your delivery, you would sand off some of the corners that would make it hard for people to listen to. Even not consciously.
Certainly.
It would come out that way.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's an uncomfortable truth that we have some ownership of each other in relationships. I am telling the story in this way purposely because that's what was happening in the conversation. She was very uncomfortable. She was expecting me to react like you did. She thought I was going to say, "Ooh, well, like I don't know. Like let's talk. Let's." But I'm very against any what I would consider, especially if we're having a boundary dispute about someone else's body. Like if I'm going to engage in an argument of a territorial dispute over a woman's body, I am for sure going to cast myself in the harshest, most controlling light that I possibly can because I think that's more honest. Not because I think it's like right or makes me look good. And this is a big problem Twitch has with me. They think that when I say I have some ownership over your body because you're my girlfriend, they think that I'm saying this with no introspection, with no self-loathing, with no self-consciousness, with no self-hatred, no undercurrent of being apologetic about it. They think that I am a smug asshole who likes to hurt women, basically. And the reason is because they would never say anything that made them look bad unless they didn't know it made them look bad. So then people think I'm stupid. And they're like, oh, he has no idea. His worldview is completely warped. No, I have the same fucking worldview that you do. I'm a feminist. I believe in the independence of women, especially in relationships with men. These are all very important things to me. I believe in equality of the sexes. Therefore, when I'm talking about telling a woman that I have partial ownership of her body, I am very self-conscious about my role and how I talk about that, and I'm going to talk about it in a way that that reveals my feelings about it and reveals like what I think about it. So the truth of the conversation is that I said that to her, and she was like, well, I don't you don't own me. You can't tell me what to do. And I was like, well, I can't tell you what to do, but if we're in a relationship,
you can set conditions.
I can set
conditions on the
right.
relationship, and if they violate those conditions, you no longer will be in a relationship.
Exactly, and like after 2 weeks is pretty different from after 2 years. If you've been with someone for 2 years, and then you're like, oh well, let's break it off. If you do, you get a tattoo, let's break it off. Then at a certain point, that does become coercive because their life now is intertwined with yours.
Yeah, you maybe moved in together,
yeah,
maybe you've joined bank accounts, all sorts of,
and just emotionally you are part of their life. Like they own you the same amount that you own them. Okay. They own part of your life, so you can't just threaten to yank.
You've become entwined. Yes,
you've become entwined, right? And then people use that. People will often threaten their partners and say like, oh well, I'd break it off if you did this, I'll break it off if you did that. And I think that's abusive, even if it's true. I think it's abusive to say it to try to control how somebody behaves. But after 2 weeks, I'm not as like careful about that, obviously, because we're still negotiating the relationship. It doesn't even really exist yet. Okay, so I don't think I said like I'll break up with you if you do that, but I probably signaled it, and I think but before I even got to there, I was just like, listen, I think you hate women, and
this is what you told to Shaylin, to be clear.
Yeah. Okay. I said I think you hate women. And I kind of hate women too, so I have empathy for that. I get it. If you're a misogynist, I understand. It's a burden we both bear. However, you are a woman. Whether you want to be or not, you just are. And I don't think you should try to destroy your body or make your body less woman or destroy your womanliness or destroy your womanhood. I feel like in our society, there's so much pressure on women to not hate themselves, that it's become this whole fake thing where like they go on Instagram and have to post about how positively they feel about their bodies, even if they don't feel positive. So at the time I was a personal trainer, and I said like one of the biggest things that I think my clients have really liked about me is that when female clients come in and they're like, I hate my body because I'm like fat or something, I don't tell them that they can't say that. I'm like, okay, so you feel bad about your body. Okay, well we can work with like, what do you feel bad about? What do you want? Let's talk about it. I'm never like, oh, you should feel bad, fatty, or I'm never like, you're not fat. I never evaluate.
You want them to be honest with themselves about how they feel.
Yeah, if there's anywhere that you should be able to be honest about feeling like you're flabby and old and ugly, it's with your fucking personal trainer. Like I should be able to withstand the discomfort of the client being like, I feel bad about my body. And most people cannot tolerate it. We've been conditioned to not be able to tolerate women being self-conscious about their bodies. And so, I mean, not that we are fucking tolerant of men doing it either. I
understand.
Right. Okay. So specifically with Shaylin, I was like, I feel like it's not really occurred to you that maybe you can hate being a woman, but still be one. Maybe it's okay. And
Interesting.
and and
And
she,
then this convinced her, obviously, since she's still
yeah, I
with
think it
you.
resonated a
Uh,
lot with her. It's just she would never. She said, no one has ever provided me a frame or language for being allowed to have self-loathing. I've always felt like I have to escape self-loathing through body modification, costume, makeup, nicknames, identity changes, whatever. I've always felt like I shouldn't say this word for word, but the sense she gave me is she's always tried to escape feelings of self-hatred. And the idea of having a relationship where we're both allowed to hate ourselves,
Can
but
I
that
can I ask another question? I'm sorry,
yeah,
I don't mean to interrupt
no,
or
sure.
interject, but my question would be like, do you think that there is a difference between escaping self-loathing and desire for self-improvement? So
Yeah,
if I was out of shape, for example,
there
and which
is.
I am, like what would be the difference there? What's the difference between simply running away from something you feel about yourself rather than trying to fix or improve it?
I think you can only tell the difference if you are willing to sit with your feelings. I think if you well, I mean, I think the definition of the difference is going to be in the eye of the beholder. So like I you might start a new exercise program. I might think, "Oh, you just hate yourself." There's probably people who you and I could run into at the gym who the way they look, the relationship they have with food or steroids or implants or their exercise routine. You know, people who go to the gym like 3 hours a day, 7 days a week, and like, yeah, they might look amazing, but you get the feeling like there's something fucking wrong with you. I think that's in the eye of the beholder. And I think what happened with me and Shaylin is that she looked through my eyes at herself and it resonated with her. The idea of like, you're not doing this out of self love, you're doing it out of self hatred, and as particularly to escape self hatred. So I do think it's subjective, but yeah, I totally think there's a difference, or there a difference can be defined.
Interesting, interesting. I guess so what it sounds like, and let me repeat to you what I heard, so maybe we're connecting and we're not missing each other, is that the reason that the people on Twitch, one of the reasons or the initial reasons that they hate you, is that they thought you were being coercive and controlling to your then at the time girlfriend Shaylin by encouraging her to get off of or not to start testosterone. So that she would fit your definition of what you wanted in a
Yes. So
relationship.
there's a
Yeah,
few.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's a few problems they have with this. One, the assertion that people own each other in romantic relationships to any degree. Especially a man asserting it to a woman, I think
Mm-hmm.
is pretty offensive to a far left or progressive view. Two, the idea that injecting testosterone into yourself could be self harming. Three,
Okay.
the implication that transitioning, in some cases, or in any cases, could be the result of hating women, hating your body, and wanting to escape being a woman. Um, I think those are probably the main three.
Yeah, those I'm sorry if I'm being quiet. It's just I'm thinking about it. I'm considering it. I'm
You
digesting,
can
if you
be
will.
as quiet as you want for as long as you want.
You're so kind. They say a lot about you, but they didn't mention your kindness, Mr. Girl. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I am pretty kind. Usually, I mean, I haven't been kind to every caller on the show
Well,
so
that
far.
I've as I have again, I haven't consumed much of your content, but I've seen you uh, be a little terse, if you will. But that's okay. We all get a little terse. Um, I don't think there's anything objectionable in those 3 points that you said. And I wonder because I've said much the same to many of those same people. And I'm just wondering, is it because I stand off the edges that I get less of a acidic response, or is it simply because I was a much smaller presence? I'm not
Well,
sure which would be the
I think part of it is it was in the context of a discussion. I can't even remember what the debate was with Steven, what my position was, but basically I was saying like, I don't think gender is real.
okay.
So I don't believe that trans people are actually in the wrong body. So I don't think cis people are in the right body either. I just don't agree with the entire thing. So given that I mean, after my first conversation with Steven, I joined his Discord, and his Discord admins asked me to restate or somebody asked me, I can't remember if it was the mods or just somebody random asked me to restate my beliefs that I said in the debate. I just restated them and they banned me, and I was banned for like 4 months or maybe 3 months from his Discord. Just for saying what I had said on stream with him earlier. So I was like, okay, I think that gave me the sense that like,
Was this your first experience being banned? Like, because you've been banned a lot on Twitch, you've been banned on YouTube.
I'd never been banned for being transphobic before. Oh no, that's not true. I got banned from 2X chromosomes, the subreddit for transphobia before that, actually.
Okay, so this wasn't your first time. It wasn't your first rodeo, so to speak, when it comes to banhammer.
No, but it just gave me the sense of like the culture of like, if you I think the way people think and talk about transness and gender is like a very, very, very delicate structure, because a lot of it doesn't make any sense. And if you start poking at it, no matter how kindly or empathetically or carefully you do so, I think you will just be seen as a hateful threat. Which is not helped by the fact that lots of hateful transphobic people pretend that they're like, oh no, I'm just asking questions. No, I'm just curious. I'm just wondering. So I don't blame people for being suspicious of me, because lots of extremely hateful, bigoted people speak and talk exactly the way I do. They're very careful to be like, oh no, I like, this is a problem I have with Jordan Peterson. I don't think he's extremely bigoted, but he is deliberately provocative. But always does it under this guise of like, oh no, I'm just saying the truth here. I'm not trying to, blah, blah. What did I say? And then people get incensed with him, and then he plays dumb like he has no idea why they're mad. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying they're mad for no reason.
No, I get it. I get it.
Okay.
I think this is a phenomenon you see in more than just the trans debates. Like, we have kind of swallowed our own ideologies, and any challenge to our worldviews is a challenge to us as people, because we've identified with them. Like, not only you will say like things like, you'll hear things saying, I'm a socialist, where I think people should say, hey, I think socialism is good in these cases. But there's a difference when you say, hey, I'm a socialist. Any criticism towards socialism is a criticism towards you. Whereas if you say, hey, I just believe in these socialist qualities, it doesn't hit you the same, right?
That's true, but there's a okay, so like if you're racist towards a black person,
okay,
the black person still has a frame of reference for existing outside of your perception of them. Like they have they have their educational history. They have the criminal record or lack of a criminal record. They have their bank account and assets. They have a family, father, no father, like whatever shit you're saying about them. There is also a reality that they hold with them in their life that can either go along with what you're saying or against what you're saying, but it's a separate existence. Transness only exists theoretically. There is no way to test if someone is actually trans. There is no definition of someone being actually trans or actually cis. But
just real quick, they seem to share similar experiences, at least reportedly.
No, I've interviewed a bunch of trans people, and they all gave different. In fact, every trans person I interviewed, I think every single trans person I interviewed rolled their eyes at some other trans people that I mentioned and said, well, they're not really trans. I'm really trans and they're not really. Trans people, in my experience, are very willing to admit that some people aren't really trans, and some people, they say they are, but they're not really, because they didn't have my experience. It's like I interviewed a trans 22-year-old, and she said, yeah, if you transition after 30, you're not trans. You can't be.
Interesting. So
Okay,
I've talked
so
to a few. I probably different ones, right? Probably different individuals. And while yes, there is a lot of infighting in that community,
yeah,
I would say that there are some striking similarities
yeah, but
about how they enact.
that's fine, but it doesn't. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying
Okay,
there's no objective test you can run on a person to find out if they're trans,
fair enough.
right?
No, not that I know of, at least.
Right, and so good trans allyship is believing people when they're trans. If somebody says they're trans, you believe them, right? That's what you're supposed to believe them.
Certainly.
Okay,
Why not? Right.
so this is all just to say that I think trans people or trans allies or trans ideology is much more threatened by um, picking away at it or pulling at the threads because it doesn't exist outside of, or there's no proof of it existing, I should say, outside of people agreeing that it does exist. And so
Well, it's an
that's why they say like
internal thing, but yeah, I get it.
what's uh it's an internal thing.
Like it's unfalsifiable as well, right? Like you can't prove someone's not trans the same way you can't prove someone's trans.
Um I th- I think that I think probably a lot of trans people and allies would go for a no true Scotsman thing. I think that I don't. Some people refer to Shaylin as a closeted trans man still, just because they heard that story. And then other people are like, well, if you can be talked out of it, then you're not really trans. Everybody has their own definition. All I'm saying is that I think that ideology finds it much more threatening when you argue against
Okay.
it because there is no frame of reference in like actual measurable scientific reality to contradict the arguments. It's all subject to philosophical debate. That's why they constantly say my identity, my existence isn't up for debate. Well, it's like, well, actually, it is. It is up for debate because there's no way to prove that it's not just like a fucking thing you think.
I understand. I'm just again, I'm maybe it's because we've gone in a lot of directions, but I'm finding it difficult to connect the thread of the previous conversation about why they hate you to this.
Oh, I'm saying that if I were an anti-vaxxer,
Uh-huh.
I don't think they would tell you not to talk to me.
Okay, so
If
you're
I
thinking
were a
that you
Trump,
are an
if I
actual threat in their minds.
yeah, when the thing you're defending is not provable, challenges to its truth are more threatening. Especially if they're good challenges, especially if they come from a well-meaning place. You'll never
Yeah,
hear me.
genuine.
I don't believe in God. I don't believe in tradition. I don't believe in the nuclear family as like a cornerstone or bedrock of society. I don't believe in. I don't believe that men shouldn't wear dresses. I don't believe that men shouldn't get fucked in the ass. I don't believe that women shouldn't wear baseball caps, which I think was something that Shaylin liked. Like, I have no problem with cross dressing, and I have no problem with social transition. So I think that it almost is more threatening coming from somebody who's like, I agree with a lot of trans ideology. I just don't agree with the part that I think is fucking insane. But I
Which is the specifically the hormones, the surgery,
yes,
what?
hormones, surgery, and then insisting that other people adopt your beliefs.
Okay. Okay. I think I understand a little bit more now. I don't necessarily agree, but that's probably a discussion for another time.
Sure, I just went yeah, but as far as getting context to
Yes, yeah, I do understand.
why people don't want you to talk to me, I think that there's something particularly threatening about that approach. Tachibana Ken subscribed and said, "I'm so miserably sad you've been banned. I'm sad too."
And it sucks that you were. Thank you for conversating with me.
Oh,
It
sure.
was a pleasure, and perhaps I'll call in another day. But for
Okay.
now,
Well, sounds good.
hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Hasta